Hello guys, and welcome to the yearly setup of the year 2026 for my bullet journal. I'm going to use all those pens that you can see on the screen with all those washi tapes, and I will just put them away and write them down under this video so that you can find all the things that you need for this setup. I don't know if I will be able to link down below all the washi tapes because I have very randomized washi tapes sets and have almost no idea where I got all the washi tapes from. I will flip to the organizational page for the yearly setup so that you can see that I write down and use this setup to have all the pens displayed. I will of course link all the pens and the colors down below so that you know exactly what colors I will use. This is just for me, and as you can see I used my organizational page already. Flipping over to the last few pages of my bullet journal, I am doing a content page or an index page if you want to call it like that. That's a very simple page. I use a 0.8 pen for the title and a 0.5 for the smaller titles, and then I just have lines in between the page and the content to write down the page number and next to it the content which is displayed on that part of the page. Once I have written down everything with my pen, I will take a washi tape and make a few color accents here. If you don't have washi tapes, you can also just take a few colors and make a few color blobs here and there, or just some lines so that you have a little bit of a color in your index page. Once I assembled everything on a page, I take an eraser and erase all the lines that I made with a pencil before so that the page does look professionally made or something like that. Once I'm done with the index pages, I flip forward to the first few pages of my bullet journal and start with a title page for my bullet journal 2026. I wanted to do the setup with my 0.8 fineliner, but I found that the lines were not thick enough, so I took the Tombow dual brush pen in the color black, which is number N15, and redone all the edges and all the lines so that they are thicker and you really see the border of each separate space. My setup looks pretty blank right now because I will only have the year written down in the middle and have 12 sections that are totally empty right now, and I have these sections to make a little doodle or a drawing for the theme that I am choosing each month. That way at the end I should have a picture a month for each certain theme. For the numbers in the middle I take my Tombow dual brush pens and write down the numbers of the year. After my title page I flip over to the calendar page. I write down the title of the calendar with a 0.8 pen and start with choosing the colors for the backgrounds for each month. I make the lines for the color of the background for each month before I write down the title so that the fineliner doesn't smudge. For each title, I choose a 0.5 fineliner, and for the numbers of the month, I will choose a 0.1 fineliner. I am writing down all the numbers of the months with my hand, so I will skip through it because it's a very repetitive work, but I really love to listen to something and do it anyways. After writing down all the numbers with my hand, I will do some small touch-ups with the washi tapes so that the page has a little bit more color. I wasn't totally happy with the page, something was missing, so I took all the colors that I used for the background of each month and did a little bit of a rainbowy kind of situation at the top of the page. Let's flip over to the year at a glance. My year at a glance will be made out of a lot of Dutch pages so that I can flip through and at everything at one glance. And I use the year at a glance mostly to write down if someone has birthday, a certain date of the month, and I have a little bit of space under each month to write down also special dates or something that I can't write down in my months beforehand. As you can see, I first took my Tombow brush pens and made a corner around the edges of the Dutch door, which are brown, and then I will take a color for each month and make some lines to make it a little bit more colorful. And at the end, I will of course take my pens and write down the titles of the months and also the month's numbers itself. As you can see, the title of this page setup is written with a Tombow brush pen again. I wanted all the titles to be a little bit thicker, that's why I don't use fineliners for the titles in this setup right now, and maybe we'll use it later on. And as you can see, when I'm done with one double page, I will go to the next one and do the same thing over and over again. And at the end, I will cut out the Dutch doors so that we all have it on one side of the page. If you're asking yourself why I choose these colors for the months, these are the same colors as I chose in the calendar setup, so that we don't have a big variation in between the setups, and I think these colors fit together perfectly. For the cutting of the Dutch doors, I use a cutter for the edges of the page, or better say in the middle of the page, and I use a scissor all around. I think using a scissor is way easier. You don't cut the other pages that you don't want to cut, but for the middle section of the pages of the notebook, you just really need a cutter to make it look as beautiful as you can. That's why I use a cutter. But you of course need to look out to not cut too many pages. So what I am doing from time to time, I'm just cutting around with the scissor, and then I have like a little piece that needs to be cut off, and I take the cutter and just try to cut it. After I cut off all the pages that I didn't want it to have in my setup, I go over with a pen and just color in the sections that stayed a little bit wide, because I have a border around the Dutch doors and I want to have them look as beautiful as I can. And as you can see, I take my washi tapes and try to make the page look a little bit more colorful, so that it doesn't have too many white spaces in it. Flipping over from a year at a glance to a picture a month. The picture a month setup looks pretty similar to a year at a glance, it is just way easier to do. I take my Tombow brush pen and make a border around the Dutch door again, but this time I will just make small sections where I will put the picture in that I want to put in per month, then write down which month it is for, and do this for each month. A picture a month works like this. I am living through my month and taking pictures here and there, and when the month is over, I look at those pictures and I print out one picture and stick it in for the month. And I have a special picture that represents the whole month, or I have a picture that I think is the coolest from that month and stuff like that. And I just try to put a little small thing to remember the month by. of course, to cut away everything that goes away for the Dutch doors, I use a cutter and a scissor again and do this so that the page looks like a little book. And for the edges, so that they don't look as empty, I take a very thin washi tape and put them on the sides. You of course don't need a washi tape for making the page look a little bit more colorful. You can always make a line with any sort of pen or color you really want there. And flipping over, we come to our tracker pages. I have 2 trackers on this double page that I use. One is Rate My Day and one is my sleep tracker. These trackers will be filled out only at the end of the bullet journal because I have those setups for each month and I don't really need to fill them up every day. So this is just to see overall, hey, how did I felt on this and that day, how much sleep did I had, and so on. How these trackers work is I have a little square for each day and I have a certain amount of colors that I can pick out from when I start using the tracker, and I color in depending on the color how I felt. Like for example, if I rate my day as a 5, I just take the color of 5 and put it in to the tracker, and that way I can see, hey, if the tracker has more of the color of 5, it's more positive. If it has more of the color for 1 or 3 downwards, I know something has to change because I don't feel good enough overall. And in the sleep tracker it's almost the same, it just is depending on the hours that I sleep throughout the day. So for example, if I slept for 6 hours or for 9, I take the color of the numbers of hours and put it in there, and I can see overall how much sleep I got throughout the year. On the top of my setup, I have the first letter of each month. This way I can see which month I'm in. And on the left side of the setup, I have the numbers of each day. So 1 till 31, and depending on how many days I have in a month, I of course don't have all 31 spaces for each month and have the amount of spaces that I need for each month. I felt like there was not enough color in my setup, and I tried to put in washi tapes to mask the white space, but then I thought it didn't look good enough, and then I took another washi tape that doesn't have too much color in and took the colors of this setup and put them downwards in a little bit of rainbow kind of way. This this way I felt it looked okay enough and the white space was filled in as much as it could be filled in. The next setup we will be working on is books I read in 2026, and this is a little tracker, or better say a goal of mine that I want to achieve, and it's I wanted to read 26 books this year. I hope that it will go accordingly. I am only reading the books with my eyeballs. I'm not listening to any books, and all the books that will come up onto this page will be read books, and I try to make a little cooler setup, and it's a book that is open and every page is like a space for a book. I really like that setup because it gives me enough space to put in the name of the book, the name of the author, maybe also the star rating and everything in a very small space, and I have it all at one glance. I of course used my Tombow brush pens to do this whole setup. I really like to have the very light colors of the brown and to work with that because it looks good as a book color and it's very nice for the eyes. The title of the setup will also be made by the Tombow brush pens because I want the setup to be catchy and look good. How I use this setup is that when I'm done reading a book, I write down the title of the book, the author of the book, which rating I get to the book, and which language I read the book in. So if I read it in English, I write EN down next to the title, or if I read it in German, I write down DE, or if I read it in Czech or Slovakian, I write down the short term of the country depending on the country, of course. Turning the page to the last two pages of the setup, I have my reading tracker in here and my grid spacing cheat sheet. The reading tracker is working the same as the trackers before. If I read a certain amount of pages a day, I will take the color that I have next to the number of pages and I will put it down in my setup. I have a square for each day and we'll see at the end how much I read throughout the whole year. The grid spacing cheat sheet is a little helper. I have certain gaps that I am using the most throughout my setup in that grid spacing cheat sheet. This way I don't need to count out how many spaces I need for like 3 gaps or 4. I just come in here and can look up how many spaces it has with a ruler. Just so the grid spacing cheat sheet has a little bit of color, I am using colorful dots for each gap that I have in there, and then I just put a line in between those dots so that it looks good. In my grid spacing cheat sheet I also have a space where I have my calendar setup grid, and normally the calendar is 6 by 7 or a 7 by 7. So I have it in there to see, hey, this is the size of my calendar, because I use a smaller calendar a lot in my setups, and this way I don't need to think too much about it. I of course take a washi tape and my colors and make a rainbowish blob over at the reading tracker so that it looks the same as the other trackers looked like. Once I'm done with all my setups, I go over each setup and erase all the lines made with a pencil or make sure that everything looks the way I wanted it to. I will now flip through the whole setup so that you can see how everything looks like all together. So this was it for my yearly setup for the year 2026. Thank you guys very much for watching and we will see each other next time. Bye guys!